Hello, my name is Patrick Ryan. I'm the Ward 8 Councilman for Oklahoma City, which is in the far northwest quadrant of Oklahoma City. And I've said this before, that we bring special guests to these interviews, but I have a very special guest this morning, today, a lady who is on the Oklahoma City School Board and represents the small portion of the Oklahoma City School District that is in Ward 8. Good morning, Lynn Watson, who's been on the school board for how long, Lynn?
This is my fourth year.
Fourth year.
Yes.
And you represent the far northwest quadrant.
I do, District 1 for Oklahoma City School Board.
And which Oklahoma City schools does that include?
And the high schools is John Marshall and Oklahoma Centennial. And then I have 6 different elementary schools, ranging from Quail Creek to Ridgeview to Greystone, all of those.
So a wide spectrum of quality and age of schools and this sort of thing.
Absolutely.
That's good. What tempted you, or what attracted you to run for school board?
Well, I thought that school board members need to have skin in the game, if you will. And I know at the time we were being represented very well by Al Basie, but there was an outpouring of constituents wanting somebody in that school board seat that had kids in the Oklahoma City Public Schools. And from that, I did lots of praying, thinking about doing something at a larger level than just at a PTA level. And with many people coming to me saying, we really want you to run, I decided I'd love to represent our district.
And you've done a great job at representing our district.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service to the community, too. People don't realize sometimes what a thankless job being on the school board can be, because there's a similarity between the school board and the city council. That you can't do anything that pleases everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's never going to be a win-win, but it's hopefully not a win-lose either. But it's been a challenge. It's been exciting. I've learned a lot about how our district works and what success should look like and what it does look like.
Well, Lynn, one of the things I'd hoped to do today was to convince people, or at least give them some information that indicated the tremendous improvement in the quality of Oklahoma City schools. I've said this before, Oklahoma City needs a quality education system throughout the city. And I think Oklahoma City School District has a reputation that's not quite as good as the product. And tell us about some of the really exciting things that are happening at school board that are different, that are designed to improve the quality of education.
Absolutely. We have made so many strides to bring rigor into our classroom. We decided, with the mobility rate in Oklahoma City Public Schools being 30%, meaning 30% of our kids every year move from school to school due to just moving, due to things going on with their parents that they have to move in with an aunt or a grandparent, whatever that looks like, that we decided we needed to standardize things across our school district. So at the middle school and high school level, we implemented a program called ACT America's Choice. Right now it's just called America's Choice. And that keeps track of each student and where they are within that program, and it helps bring up their reading skills, their math skills, their writing skills. And so if we do have a student that transfers, let's say from Douglas to John Marshall, or anywhere within our school district, we know exactly where that student is within the program and can continue that. And so there's not a loss for them academically. We've also instilled and implemented within all of our elementary schools something called Great Expectations. And that is basically a program that helps kids understand what it means to validate one another, to have a very positive working environment with teachers and administrators and kids themselves, to respect one another. And that has proven tremendous within our organization.
Well, that's certainly a change in the culture of our schools to have that mobility. And I think it's interesting that the school system has devoted so much time to developing a system that helps deal with that problem.
You bet.
You mentioned you had 2 high schools in your district.
Right.
And John Marshall is probably the newest, although Centennial has been redone, as I understand, significantly.
Absolutely.
Through the efforts of the MAPS program. But one of the, I think, the exciting things I've heard about Oklahoma City schools is the academy approach that the high schools are developing. Can you say a few words about that?
You bet. We've had some great success. Northeast was our very first school to start an academy, and they started an engineering academy, and it's proven very successful. And what an academy is it is an area of specialties that is brought into a school where about 100 kids will apply for that academy. And what's interesting for Oklahoma City, and something new and different, is every high school is going to have an academy next year. And students can decide what academy are they interested in. So, for example, at John Marshall, we're having a finance academy. And so we're bringing in, we have a board for that academy, including Tinker Federal Credit Union and many others that are helping us put together this academy. And 50 to 100 kids will be a part of this academy, and they'll understand what it's like to get a job in the real world in finance. Now, it may not be at a bank, but it may be in the finance department. We even have 2 City of Oklahoma City employees who are on that board because they're in the financial part of the city, and they're on that board as well, putting together that curriculum and being the mentors for these kids.
Now, as I understand it, the academies are open to any student in the school district.
Absolutely. And what the kids decide to do is, for example, if they want to be a part of the Finance Academy, they say, I want to be a part of the Finance Academy, and we're going to get them transportation to John Marshall to go to those classes so they will have a part of that integrated academy.
That sounds wonderful. Are the number of students who can apply or be in the academy limited?
Right now it's available to anybody.
Hasn't grown that
what
much
we're
yet.
trying to do is keep it at 100, a manageable number initially, but I see that growing and expanding as we continue this process.
So John Marshall is a financial academy.
Correct.
How about Centennial? Have they divided a specialty yet?
Yes, and for the life of me, that is slipping my mind right now.
Well, that happens to us all.
Yeah, I know we have IT. We're having an IT academy. We have a hospitality academy, people who want to get into restaurant, hospitality, those types of industries. There are 6 different academies that we have, and I should have brought that list.
That's
but
great.
I
I think that's a real improvement, a
Absolutely.
real change. Now, one of the other exciting changes that the Oklahoma City schools have adopted in the last year or so was the continuous learning calendar.
Right.
Would you explain how that works?
The continuous learning calendar is set up so kids can spend more time in the classroom. So we've had more time in the classroom, which is exciting. One thing it does is it keeps the year, summertime we have found that when the summer is 12 weeks long, that kids regress. They're not keeping up their reading, doing the things that they need to in the summertime, and so they regress. So when they come back for the next year, we have found that we're trying to play catch up to get them back to where they were on grade level. So we looked at different organizations in different districts across the nation that were using the continuous learning calendar, and so that takes our summer down to 8 weeks. So we are hopeful that the regression isn't as much. Now we will know at the fall of next year if those numbers are true.
This is the first year it's been citywide.
Absolutely. This is our first year that it's citywide. We did have several schools that were on the continuous learning calendar, but this year our whole entire district is on that calendar.
That's great. That's great. I think innovative things like that are important.
Absolutely.
And obviously, as you say, though, you have to wait a little while to evaluate the results. But if you don't do
Definitely.
anything differently, you can't expect improvement.
That's right. And that's why we wanted to try it to see, does it make sense? And so we're going to get input not only from teachers and the kids' test scores and all of that, but, from parents as well. We need to have an understanding from the community. Did this work?
One of the changes in the school board in the last couple of years is a new superintendent, Carl Springer. Mm-hmm. He seems to bring an enormous amount of energy and commitment to education. Has he made a real difference?
He really has, and he's truly committed to the child, and he's the one that has really made us focus, is this best for the child? Because there are many adult issues when you're looking at education. We're looking at, the teachers and those issues, administrators and those issues, but he has really focused us on the child. It doesn't make a difference with the child. And another thing that he has really brought, along with Sandra Park, the deputy superintendent, is putting together a strategic plan. We finally got that done about a year and a half ago, and it's been nice to have a plan to know where we're going, because with all the different superintendents that we had previous, I think everyone brought their own ideas and then they left, and those ideas went with that given superintendent. So it's nice to have some continuity, some consistency, and now we have a plan that we can look back and say, okay, out of these 52 initiatives, right now we've completed 15. And what does that mean? What does that outcome look like for our school district?
That's excellent. I think the planning part of it is really important. To have some kind of an organized idea of where you want to go. Because
You bet.
Otherwise, you're adrift.
Absolutely, and if you don't have a plan, what's the next board going to do?
Mm-hmm.
And since our board gets typically a new member every year, it's always good for us to have our board retreat, so then we can talk about that strategic plan and is it encompassing every district and every child in our district.
Well, it sounds like you're really into your job as a member of the school board. When do you have to run again?
If I decide to run again,
If you decide to run
if
again,
I decide to run
it's an
again,
important decision to make.
we sign up this December, and the actual election is February of 2013.
Well, great. You think, are you, right now, I know it's a ways off. Have you made a decision yet?
I have not. I have to look at my family and say, okay, we know how much time this took. Does it make sense? But I have not made a decision yet. But if I decide not to run, I will definitely be a part of finding somebody to run for that position.
Well, great. Once you get involved with something like that, it's hard to quit.
It really is.
Because it seems like it's a job that's never finished.
Well, and you've got the momentum that's going, and you think, wait a minute, do I really want to stop that momentum?
Right, exactly. Well, it's a tough decision to make, I know, because you've got a family, and there's so many demands on a family right now.
You bet.
And I guess our culture demands maybe a little extra degree of supervision that it didn't have before.
Definitely.
And so
it's all about balancing that community activity.
Thank you very much for your service. I think it's really important to have somebody like that.
Thank you.
You've done an excellent job. Although we only have 2 schools, Oklahoma City schools, in Ward 8, they are important schools. John Marshall is a new high school, a new academy. Got off to a little bumpy start, but I think a lot of those initial problems have been overcome, and it's doing a great job. One of the real measurements, I think, is its quality of the sports program. They've become contenders quickly in a lot of different areas of sports.
Absolutely. They have really excelled, and with our administrator, Spasia Carlson, the principal, she has brought a culture to the school that is second to none. I'm just so proud of what she's been able to bring to the organization and to the teachers.
Well, I would suggest that some of our neighborhood associations in that vicinity consider having their annual meetings at John Marshall. You'll be really impressed with the quality of the school and the quality of students out there. I think they're doing a great job. And like I say, they had a rough start. There are a number of very loyal John Marshall alumni in Oklahoma City. Some very prominent people who went to John Marshall who have a real affection for that name and the new school, too.
Well, and I also have to bring up that Bob West, his father was the first principal at John Marshall.
Oh.
And Bob graduated from John Marshall, and he is the one that is putting together the sports complex. He has donated millions of dollars along with other contributors to put together a new track, a new football stadium. We're going to have baseball fields and softball fields, and it's an exciting...
Real progress for a new school.
Real progress.
Well, today, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a feel for the intense effort the people associated with the Oklahoma City Public Schools are doing to improve that quality. One of the difficult things we have to deal with is the perception that it is not a good school system, and that factually is changing. And I encourage all of you to do a little research, attend some of the school board meetings, take advantage of going to these schools, meet the principals, and put them into the planning of your neighborhood meetings. Neighborhood schools are an important part of successful neighborhoods, and I think Oklahoma City schools would welcome that kind of attention.
Thank you.
Lynn, thank you very much for being with us today. And please, I encourage our viewers, if they have questions, to contact Lynn or myself, and we'll try to get you an answer about anything relating to the public schools.
Great.
Lynn, thank you again.
Thank you so much, Councilman.